Perfect. Right, we can get going. Okay, Guilty, welcome to a very special little episode we're doing here. It's Feelycraft versus Theorycraft. That's just the hook for you guys in chat and everything, YouTube. The idea of today's talk is to cover the state of Feral, how we're currently performing, and enjoyment and playstyle and all that kind of stuff. And then we're going to talk a little bit about Midnight and our wishes and wants. Alpha's coming out like tomorrow, like next week, like soon. So it's imminent. So we'll chat a little bit about that. And then we will talk about sort of Feral best practice. That's what I'm calling it, but it's going to be a lot of sort of scenario questions, rotation stuff, sort of like in a guide, not a guide format, but sort of like just talking about Feral at sort of, you know, at the high end rotationally and stuff, and things that we should be looking to achieve. So that's kind of the plan here, Guilty. So starting things off then, dude, I guess I should just introduce you a little bit for anybody who doesn't know, but you're a Theorycrafter for Feral, have been for a long time in the Feral Discord, so if anyone's interested, they can chat to you there and ask you about how much haste we need. Anything else that you want to kind of add on to yourself?
No, not particularly. I write for Wowhead. I've played Feral for a while, a hot minute. I love the spec. I'm passionate about it. I'm playing it in only 2 versions again at the moment, which is cut down from the 3 I was doing before. So yeah, just like Feral and happy to be here to chat about it.
Yeah, amazing, cool. You're also currently high-end rating in retail as well, like you just killed Nexus King. You're more of a raid guy than a Mythic Plus guy, right?
Yeah, I'm definitely more of a raid guy than Mythic Plus guy. I've done Mythic Plus in the past, but it's just not my wheelhouse. I think the optimization is interesting, but I think I just don't particularly enjoy doing lots of dungeons like that, which is fine. People enjoy different things.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's great. And in case anybody doesn't know who I am, I'm Psy. I'm a content creator for Feral. I'm not a Theorycrafter. I have been playing Feral since like Legion, big on my Mythic Plus, but I'm also raiding in a World Top 100-ish guild. So also raiding Mythic Plus. So we're going to talk about some of these things, but let's just get into then like the state of Feral. So what's your feeling right now on how we're doing, the enjoyment, like are you actually enjoying how we're playing, and anything else that you want to add on that?
I think Feral has been pretty enjoyable to play for the entire expansion. I think Hero Talents have been a little bit disappointing. I don't think they've brought a whole lot of gameplay. There have been a couple of instances where there's been like differential gameplay between the 2 Hero Talents, but yeah, the spec is reasonably fun. In terms of performance at the moment, I think it's on the upper side. I don't think we're an incredible spec this tier, but we're in a decent spot in terms of single target. Our AoE is still our AoE is in a weird place. I'm sure we'll talk about that. But for raid in particular, it's pretty mediocre. So we look pretty bad in the overall charts, but despite that, I think Feral's in a pretty good spot. And most importantly, it's fun to play. In Mythic Plus, as I'm sure you're aware, it kind of pumps. Big spec in Mythic Plus. I think this season and the season before are probably the best seasons ever for Feral in Mythic Plus, which is pretty cool. It's exciting to see the spec excel in an area where I don't think it's traditionally excelled. So yeah, spec's fun. I enjoy it. Spec's pretty good.
Yeah.
Very few complaints.
I second that. I do think Hero Talents haven't exactly been mega exciting, and I'm a bit confused by them, to be honest. Like, DOTC kind of paints itself a little bit more of like instant damage sort of design, but then obviously Ravage being the core gameplay, which has an initial and then obviously the bleed as well. So it's not like we're moving away from bleeds by playing DOTC, but I feel like there's not really a separation between DOTC and Wildstalker in terms of gameplay, and you pretty much lock in the same talents regardless. So I don't really understand what
there's some small distinctions, but yeah, for the most part, there's not really enough gameplay around the hero talents that they make sort of big meaningful distinctions about how you play with either of them. There's some small differences, which is cool. I think that the gameplay that we had in the last couple of tiers is less so this tier, but in Nurubar Palace and in Undermine, I think there was Nurubar Palace in particular. I think that hero talent balance in Nurubar Palace was really fascinating because you could play both of them. And I mean, that is kind of the situation now, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But you could play both of them, and they both had kind of distinct gameplay loops that the other didn't play around. So like DOTC played a lot around, obviously Ravage, and it didn't have much of a gameplay difference there, but you played different talents. You played Saberjaws, so there was a lot more like big bite damage, which was cool. Whereas Wildstalker played Lunar Inspiration, and you had more gameplay around how you were snapshotting your rips. So obviously you were like clipping your rips early in order to sort of ensure that you always had a snapshot on your rip with Tiger's Fury, which was, and they were both really close. Like even in the ranks, there was like indistinguishable. There was both hero talents in the top 10 with like gameplay differences and slightly different talents. I think it's so rare that happens in WoW, where there's actually like two meaningfully different builds, and you can play both of them. But I thought it was really cool. I was really excited about that tier. It was sick.
Yeah, and I tried my hand as well. That was like from the rating perspective, and I tried my hand as well in Mythic Plus, playing with DOTC and playing with Wildstalker to see like how, I hate the word, but like how viable is this? And it's something that I'm currently doing in this season as well, to be like, actually, can we squeeze in some Wildstalker here and there? And even though DOTC is just fundamentally better because of its design around it, you're a bit tankier, you get frenzied regen in Cat, which is a big boon, and then it's also, you get to choose your priority target, whereas Wildstalker, it's you're just praying that the vines are going to be on the mob that needs to die. You can still do it, and you can absolutely do it up until, 18s, 19s. That's where you need to lock in a little bit more on like perfect build, but it does feel like you can play the different hero talents right now for Feral in Raid and in Mythic Plus. I mean, we're seeing on the logs, you did mention people are playing DOTC, and that was the expected hero talent for the beginning of the season, but now there's a lot of Wildstalker coming in. So people are, in top 10 logs, so like you can kind of play both right now.
Yeah. And I think it's kind of a little bit of a shame that the gameplay differences are a little bit. I mean, Wildstalker still plays Lunar Inspiration, so there is some gameplay differentiation. And I guess you don't. The DOTC has various Ravage, so I guess it's just flipped the other way, which is, so there's still some gameplay differences. And yeah, I do think Wildstalker is probably a pretty solid option in certain keys. I think Streets is probably the one that comes to mind, because DOTC perversely loses a lot of single targets by taking the talents you have to take in AoE, like Apex. Most notably, and not really taking Saberjaws, which is a big buff with DOTC. So like keys like Streets, where there aren't a lot of big pulls, like there's like one big pull in Streets, right? And there is a lot of bosses that have single target, like pretty solid options for playing Wildstalker.
Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see throughout the season whether or not this is something that like, I assume that there are people who will experiment with it and like work out whether or not it's worth playing at the highest end. My gut feeling is that actually it might be, in Streets particularly. I don't think I believe it in any of the other keys, but in Streets in particular, I actually think I have a strong suspicion that it might actually be optimal.
It's Wildstalker in the Streets, DOTC in the sheets, I think, is what we call it. What do you think?
Another dungeon that works for sheets, because Streets is a bit too close to sheets. And then, if you workshop it a little bit, you'll get there.
Yeah. Well, Workshop isn't in the dungeon pool at the moment. So, what do you think about the RNG nature? Like right now in Raid, Feral's getting PI, but then because of the 4 set, you've got this 40% chance to get like another Ravage proc after you've used your Ravage. So it's RNG on top of RNG. Are you happy with that? Because traditionally, I don't really like that with Feral. I like consistent, predictable, planned around damage. So what do you feel about that?
I like RNG. I think RNG is a good thing. My philosophy of RNG, though, is that I think RNG that has an impact on how you play the game is really good. Because I think that it is a positive thing that sometimes you have a bad RNG pull and you feel bad and like your rotation doesn't feel as smooth, because that makes the like good RNG pull where you like proc out of your mind, you're like spamming bites because you've got Infinity Apex procs, feel really good. Like fundamentally, my perspective of the game is that sometimes feeling bad is a good thing because it makes the bits where you feel good better. So I don't have a core problem with RNG. I think that RNG can go too far, and I do have a major problem with RNG where it doesn't have gameplay implications. So they're example, like Undermine last year felt bad. Like the RNG felt bad because so much of it was like silently in the background. Like, yeah, Apex.
You mean
was
because of the TS set where it was like getting the big gamba?
Yeah, it was insane. Like I remember killing Sprocket, and it was like a horrific pull. And then I was looking at other people's logs, and they had just like the entire fight with 10 stacks. I'm like, what are we doing here, man? Why do I don't mind when the RNG is like, I look at I'm playing and I'm like, I'm just not proccing, I'm not critting. Like it is what it is. But it's so frustrating when you feel like you've done badly and then you look at the logs and you're just like, oh, this was just silently in the background.
Yeah.
So like Sprocket was a great example. Some guys in the Discord did like a statistical analysis, and I'll send it to you so you can stick it on the screen because it's actually kind of funny. A statistical analysis of the expected amount of Apex procs and how far every single person varied from them in the logs. So like you could see the essentially how lucky every single person in the top 100 who'd killed the boss was. And I posted the chart in the Discord. I'm number 54 on this chart, which if you'll track across, I was statistically the unluckiest person in the world in the top 100 of Sprocket Manga in like week 2 or something.
I'm gonna see if I can bring this up.
That shit just feels bad.
So I like that there are no names here, so you just remember.
Yeah.
You've just remembered your name.
Because I was pinged. I was pinged, and people were like, "Wow, Guilty, this sucks to be you." I'm like, it does. I can't remember the names. I'm sure I could go back and find out some of the people. Like whoever number fucking
not 10. Yeah,
that guy is blessed.
Yeah,
he better not have bought a lottery ticket because he used all of his luck.
You know what's interesting though is like rank 1. I mean, still above rank 10. Yeah. Is that still like that they actually?
Yeah, I mean,
it's just blocked.
Rank 3 must have been mad.
Yeah.
So I don't have a core problem with RNG. But DOTC this tier is kind of in the position whereby there is some gameplay impact, but the gameplay impact is only really noticeable when you are unlucky.
Yeah.
So it can be kind of frustrating at times. So yeah, I've been playing a lot of Wildstalker. I played through most of the tier DOTC, and I was chatting with weirdly a healer from a higher ranked guild. And he was talking about the conversations he had with their feral. They all private logs, so he doesn't show up in the logs. But the conversation with having the feral and how frustrated he was with DOTC, and how he essentially just started one-tricking Wildstalker and how he was like getting good results with it. So I like gave it a try on Nexus King, and there's still Wildstalker is less swinging than DOTC, but there is still a bit of RNG. But it felt good on Nexus King. I kind of did an illegal thing and swapped 10 pulls before we killed it, which is kind of illegal. But
I won't tell anyone.
I mean, I told my guild. Well, I told a few of them in Whisper. I don't know if everyone's cottoned on, but I randomly changed like my entire build that I was playing 10 pulls in. That's kind of illegal. We're getting like last phase pulls at like 10%. I'm just like, we'll try something.
Well, you got the kill, made the difference. So, you know.
But like, I think I got like rank 7 or something with PI. I think this week I got like rank 3. I think rank 4 now because rank 2 also didn't get PI and did like 6.3. The private log guy I think is still, I think he is rank 1 technically. And he also has like a 6.1 or something on Plexus where he just procced out of his mind. So I think DOTC RNG is frustrating. I think this is something that an experience that you have as well. Though in M+, it's slightly different because of how you play around Berserk.
Yes.
And obviously the weird proc behavior with with Ravage and what is it called?
Is this because of Claw Rampage, the final talent in the hero tree, where if you Brutal Slash, is the proc chance based per target? Is that how that's working?
Yes. Which is weird. It's been like that the entire expansion. I don't really believe that it isn't a bug, because I can't think of anything else in the game that worked like that. But yeah, so every target you hit in Berserk with Brutal Slash or Thrash has an independent chance to proc Ravage. So it's 25%. So on like 10 targets, it's something like a 97% chance. I can't remember the exact maths of like proccing a Ravage on every Brutal Slash. So realistically, in Berserk, you can and you should be essentially going Brutal Slash Ravage, Brutal Slash Ravage, Brutal Slash Ravage, Brutal Slash Ravage. Even if you get an Apex proc, you shouldn't spend the Apex proc unless it's Ravage. You basically, because every Ravage is 2 bites essentially, plus the additional AOE.
Yeah.
So you just spam that.
But by the additional and then also you have the you have when you Ravage from the 2 set, you get the additional bleed damage. So you're also getting that extending. Now, does that mean that in that situation, and we can talk about this a little bit later, but like in that situation, are you just reapplying Primal Wrath midway through your Berserk, just like, whatever, I don't care about Blood Talons.
Primal Wrath, you do, but your main goal in Berserk is just proccing as many Ravages as you can.
Ravage Bite. I'm not even spending the global on the 5 combo points. I'm just Ravage Biting. Like if I get Apex procs, I'm just sending Ravage Bite.
Yeah. If you get an Apex proc, you don't send it natty unless it's Bite. It's just, and you actually play that the same way in single target. So in single target, obviously DOTC plays Coiled Spring, which gives you bonus damage if you overcap combo points. So in single target as DOTC, you also overcap. So you, in Berserk, you press Shred, Thrash, or Brutal Slash until you either get a Ravage or you get Coiled Spring, and then you bite. So obviously, if you get lucky, then you end up pressing a lot more Ravages, and then sometimes you get really unlucky and you don't proc any, and you just overcap a lot on combo points and just cast natty bites and you feel really bad about it.
Yeah, that's kind of the the way at the moment. But
so DOTC RNG, I think, is going too far. It's kind of frustrating that it's the core part of the entire hero talent. There's no real gameplay other than like overcapping combo points.
Well, something I wanted to ask you about is like you know the Predator change that happened for Feral, where Predator used to work, I'm sure everybody knows already, but whenever anything died with your bleeds on, you'd get Tiger Fury reset. And that meant that we basically had like infinite energy, and we were more global locked than we were like resource locked. And I believe we spoke in the past, and you said that you didn't like that because it sort of made the rotation, like it took away from the core rotation. It wasn't, it wasn't feral. Do you not feel that this is the same with the current iteration of like Brutal Slash Bite, Brutal Slash Bite, Brutal Slash Bite? That's more so in AoE, but like you're saying, you're still just prioritizing like, forget about Blood Talons, forget about like snapping your bleeds. It's like, just get as many Ravages as possible. What are your thoughts there?
To a degree. I am a big proponent for CDs having an impact on how you play the game. So for that reason, I don't really mind it. My problem with Predator was always that I didn't think it was particularly meaningful gameplay to just like scroll wheel Tiger's Fury.
Yeah.
I think like if Predator had a CD or something, I might not have as much of a problem with it.
Yeah.
And I think there's probably ways you could design a Tiger's Fury reset where I'm like, yeah, this is pretty cool. But like just the way Predator ended up just didn't feel good in my mind. And I think ultimately, I think that feral design and feral balancing this expansion has kind of proved that it didn't really need it, and that it was, I think,
because we've been really good even without it.
To a degree, I think we were even being handicapped by it, because I think obviously I said earlier that I think this is the best 2 seasons for feral ever. in Mythic Plus.
Mm.
I think the gameplay in Mythic Plus has been pretty good. I know some people like Dragonflight Season 1 a lot, but I think the gameplay in Mythic Plus this season and last season is like significantly more enjoyable and dynamic than it was back then.
I think just having hero talents and hero talent specific tier sets for me just amplifies the gameplay. Just like it's just enjoyable, isn't it? Yeah. Can I
differentiation?
Can I jump back to a few minutes ago where
I'm sure you can.
We spoke about Wildstalker making more of a presence in Raid now, partway through the season. Now, I'm not trying to call out Theorycrafters here. I'm trying to, just get into the mindset here of you guys. But many people might go, well, hold on. The Wowhead guide said to go DOTC and Raid. The Sims are saying go DOTC. Why are we now going Wildstalker? What's going on, Theorycrafters? So, can you give your input there on why that kind of stuff changes over time? Like, what's the thought there?
I think I do. I would have to double check because it's been a while since I wrote it. But I think I do say in the guide that Wildstalker is really close. And I'm pretty sure you can play Wildstalker on all these bosses. In fact, I'm pretty sure I have some bosses where I say to play Wildstalker. I think I said Soul Hunters is probably a Wildstalker boss.
Mm-hmm.
I still think it is, even though most people are playing Druid of the Claw. I just think it's a Wildstalker boss.
Yeah.
I might be wrong eventually. But even at the start of the tier, Druid of the Claw and Wildstalker were really close. I think it's down to like 0.3% now.
Yeah. I think I simmed and it was like a 30k difference on a 5 mil sim or something.
Really
it was very small. Okay.
I think at the start of the tier we had it at like minus 80k. And we've found some like small optimizations to Wildstalker since, which like bumped it up a little bit. I think ultimately, Druid of the Claw is like, if I went back in time and had to do my recommendations again with what I know now, I think I would still recommend Druid of the Claw. I think ultimately all of the top logs will be Druid of the Claw. I think that Wildstalker is just playable. It's competitive. I don't think it is the best option. It is slightly less RNG, which some people might like. It plays slightly different talents, which some people might like. But I think I would stand behind my recommendations from the start of the tier. I'm not upset with what I recommended. Yeah, I have Wildstalker. Yeah. There we go.
No, that's fine. Yeah, no, I think that's good. Obviously, like, I'm not trying to be like, hey, you got something wrong. Like, you've obviously caveated and whatnot. But just for people watching that might be confused, I just wanted, I know the situation. So,
like, we do get things wrong. Like, it's happened before. It will happen again.
Same.
I think Narubar Palace, we got it pretty wrong. Because there was a couple of mistakes we made in the Sims. I think we initially recommended Wildstalker. And then I think we initially recommended DOTC, and then we flip-flopped to Wildstalker. And then we found an optimization for Druid of the Claw, and ended up recommending that. And then at the end of the tier, it was basically equal, so you could play either of them. We get stuff wrong sometimes. It happens.
It's constant iteration, right? It's like, I mean, it's math, it's science, it's just, this is our best guess at the moment, and new information changes those things. So
we find optimizations. As much as I like to rag on Moonkins, like for their recent one where they found a new opener, like,
or Castle Nathria, where they all got the what was it, the like Covenant wrong or whatever it was called.
If I talk about that, Teddles will kill me. So.
Yeah.
But I was in the Moonkin Discord, the Moonkin TC Discord at the time, and I think that they got ragged on for that. I think their logic why they recommended that was sound. I didn't disagree with it, and they got kind of owned. We all got kind of owned by Blizzard randomly hotfixing Convoke the Spirits literally the night of the expansion launch.
Oh, okay. Is that why I didn't know the lore on that actually? No, right.
They literally, the night of the expansion launch, they like changed. They added like 4 spells to Convoke.
Right.
They went from 12 to 16, I think.
Yes, I remember.
Everyone was like, everyone was like, shit. Yeah, because obviously we didn't know how Convoke worked with like calculating what spells it cast. So we were like, we're gonna have to do hundreds of hours of testing in order to work out what impact this has. Like, how many of those extra spells are gonna be spells that we care about? Are they all gonna be like regrowth and like moonfire?
Yeah.
It happens. Sometimes we make mistakes, but
It happens.
I feel pretty good about our recommendations this tier.
Cool.
I wouldn't change anything.
Yeah. No, perfect. Okay, cool. So I think we've covered a lot of the state of Feral. I think that we can move into sort of some wishes and hopes for Midnight. Now, the alpha, as I mentioned, is like coming out probably within the next couple weeks. Blizzard are putting out content very quickly. So we will start to see some of the changes that Blizzard is at least planning in the early stages of Midnight Alpha. So why don't we get into a little bit of that? I mean, some things that I'm just going to immediately jump on, some things that I would like to see is some gameplay change to Incon. It's been a while now since Incon has really been able to shine, and as much as I love Convoke and have been a massive like advocate of just Convoke being fun to press, it would be nice to see Incon coming through, especially with DOTC and Wildstalk, like having this differentiating hero talents. It really is a great opportunity for us to have different cooldown options for different hero talents. I personally see DOTC as like a really good Incon talent, especially with Claw Rampage, right? Like that just goes hand in hand. If you had extended Berserk, you know, Incon windows for say like 30 seconds or whatnot, then hey, that looks really good there. And then Wildstalker with Convoke, it's spreading all your like your dots and everything. Like that for me is a big one that I'm looking at. What about you? What are some stuff that you're thinking about?
I think I kind of want to see like full reworks of the hero talents.
Right.
They kind of just haven't really hit in terms of like bringing something new to the spec. Like I think the people don't like weaving, but I'm actually really disappointed that I can't remember the name of it. The hero talent, it's Wild Shape Mastery. That gives you stacks of like damage for Mangle when you press Shred or whatever it is, and makes you go bare form to like spend them. I'm kind of really disappointed that wasn't ever like explored as a DPS option. I understand that it's probably pretty polarizing, but I just think fundamentally that the hero talents never really brought anything new or like fancy to the spec in terms of game. Like in terms of gameplay, it's like frenzied regen and cat.
I really love that, by the way. I think that's a really good addition, and I like how it sort of shifts you more in the class tree. Like, you definitely want fluid form if you're going to be doing that. So it at least makes you think more about it.
I pressed it like twice the entire expansion. In
that's because you're not in Mythic Plus. You got to get in some keys.
Even in Mythic Plus, I just pressed bare form and frenzied regen. I don't want to spend what is it? Is it
40
60 energy?
I think it's 40.
40 energy.
Yeah.
I don't want to spend 40 energy on frenzied regen when I can press it in bear form
for free,
retain it in cat form for free. It heals more because I have more health, and I've snapshotted my bear health with the DOTC talents and Ursul's Vortex.
Yeah, and you're getting us on Vigor, so just going into bear form is going to help you live that damage anyway.
It feels like double, plus it's free apart from 1 GCD, and I'm like, how often do I care about 1 GCD versus 40 energy? That's probably the most meaningful. Like, oh, you actually change what buttons you press talent, and I think it's pretty anemic there as well. So there's just not a whole lot in the hero talents, and maybe they'll add stuff in the extra row and we don't need an entire rework. But I don't really think Wildstalker really it actually kind of does with this tier set. Like, I don't know about you, but when they described Wildstalker, and we got like the initial previews of it, my like mental image of how it would work in AoE is that there's like vines on everything. You're just like tab biting and you're proccing bursting growth everywhere, and it's just procs everywhere and vines everywhere, and it's just my entire screen is filled up with yellow numbers from dot procs because vines are everywhere.
Yeah, like the house in Jumanji, you know, like you just cover.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then you like play it in season 1, and it's like a 15 pull pack, and you have like
3 vines. Yeah.
Like, what are we? Especially when there's the talent.
the
I'm not
extra
familiar with
growths.
it. Yeah, we haven't played once the entire expansion because it's awful. Where you like get increased damage per vine that's up.
Oh,
Like
implants.
you just no,
Is
no,
it
no.
no.
Implant is the Tiger's Fury.
Root
It's
network.
it's
Root
on this-
network.
Root network. Yeah.
Yeah.
We just haven't played Root network, and like that feels like it should be the AOE talent where you have like 30 vines out on 10 targets. Everyone's got 3 vines. And you have like an extra huge amount of damage increase from this. You're like, yeah, this is sick. And you just never play it because you have like 3 vines out on 10 targets. You're like,
Yeah, it feels conservative, even with the current tier set. Like, I'm doing keys with Wildstalker, as I was mentioning, like high keys where things are living for a long time. Everything's getting rake up on it. I even tried playing Vein Ripper, so I'm getting extended rip and rake on stuff, thinking, oh, well, if more things have rake, I'm going to get more vines and it's going to be amazing. And it's just, it's just anemic, as you say. Like, there's just, it's too conservative. There's not enough of it. And I'll still do keys where, like, Bursting Growth is doing, like, 2.5 billion, 3 billion damage, but it doesn't contend with just the rip damage that I get from Druid of the Claw. And, like, it just doesn't feel like enough, does it? So
it's also kind of disappointing how little. So we were talking about this in Wowhead before the tier.
Mm-hmm.
How much gameplay do you want from your hero talents? And I think the consensus was pretty solidly. You either want a hero talent should be on one of 2 ends of a spectrum. It should either have really big visual impact, or it should have really big gameplay impact. And it should be one of those 2 things. I think our hero talents kind of don't have much of either. Like, do you notice Bursting Growth? I feel like Bursting Growth popping should be like vines, boom, and it's kind of. Is that like a puff of red flowers?
You see like a little creme of like numbers happen, but like with everything else going on with all the noise, you don't really that's my whole thing with Incon as well. You press Incon and just like feel nothing, and it's the same with Bursting Growth. You bite this vine target and just you don't feel anything.
I'm pretty sure there's like a small puff of red flowers.
Is there? I've not even noticed.
I think so.
Yeah.
But I think it's the same. I had the same problem with our tier sets. Like, if you don't track Prepared to Strike, which is the 4-piece proc from Druid of the Claw, that gives you an extra Ravage, do you ever know that proc?
Yes, because I think I've got more Blood Talons than I do. For those of you that don't know in chat, the free Ravage that happens will consume your Blood Talons. Is it confirmed a bug? Like, we know it's a bug?
Oh yeah, it's definitely. It doesn't increase the damage of it.
Right, so it just steals the Blood Talons. Yeah. It's not even double dipping. Okay, yeah, that's the worst. So I do notice it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you notice it from that, but like, it should spawn like a ghost version of you that casts Bite or something.
Yeah, or something, or like a different sound or something.
Ghost you. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's too many me's, actually. I don't think the world needs more of me, Guilty. But yeah, no, I agree. Like, it's not really feeling like there's an impact from it. So I agree with the hero talent. So in your idea, would you just make amendments to our current hero talents, or would you like to see maybe they swap one out and add a new one in or something? Maybe the Cosmic Cat?
I like the
new cat form?
I don't think I'd replace the thematics. I'd just...
Yeah.
Make them more meaningful.
Okay, so you're happy with Wildstalker, you're happy with the OTC, but we just want to see improvements. Yeah, I did think a cool idea, or I got a cool idea from someone on a YouTube comment one time, but like a Druid of the Flame. Is it Druid of the Flame? Druid of the Flame. Hero talent would be sick if you had like this fiery effect to some stuff, you know. I even was thinking about like bringing back Shadow Thrash, but it's like fire, or you know, like some thematic stuff around like Firecat, and then you could have the Firecat skin, and that would be really cool. But there's definitely some scope that they have for different hero talents. But yeah, I'm actually happy with the concepts that we have, but I just feel like Wildstalker,
I just don't think they fulfill those thematics.
Yeah, definitely. And for me as well, like, one big wish I have for Wildstalker is Twin Moons, because like if I'm gonna be playing Lunar Inspiration, if that's the idea, because you have a talent that increases your Moonfire damage, and then it's like you're not taking it in keys, because
I don't really love Twin Moons because it kind of feels like it's just treading on like rakes.
Right. But imagine a world where you're biting less in Wildstalker, but spreading more dots, and then you have Twin Moons, Double Clawed Rake,
I mean,
Double
I think
Swarm.
that gameplay is, it's just so it doesn't stick right to me with like to have two single target dot generated combo points, and then you just apply both of them to 2 targets. It just feels weird.
Yeah.
I think if they want to like make it something that matters on AoE, I hope that they do something that isn't Twin Moons. Because I think it would be interesting if you were like spreading it on AoE, but I just don't really think that Twin Moons is the interesting way to do it.
I just want to see more things dotted, but yeah, fair enough. I mean,
I agree with that.
I'm open to other things, right? Like Twin Moons is just my like instant like, oh, it would be cool to have just more dots going. But if they had something different that was also cool, like fundamentally, I just want Wildstalker to be a lot more periodic damage based, less biting even, and more preference on like maintaining Rip or Primal Wrath or whatever the scenario is, and then just having everything dotted. Like for me, that's how I want it to be. Yeah.
Yeah, like maybe you get a proc and it's like solar inspiration now. You sunfire everything.
I mean, yeah, even something like that. Like a Sunfire encounter, something like your Moonfire changes to Sunfire, and so you would take it in maybe AoE or a council fight or whatever for raid, let's say. But it mutates it, manipulates it into, oh wow, dude, I just Sunfired everything from one glow, like that was sick. And then on single target you have Moonfire, so like actually in keys you would have this AoE ability that then is going to increase your single target, and it just, again, it creates variance in your gameplay, because with the OTC you wouldn't have Lunar Inspiration. With Wildstalker you would. It creates those separations between the two hero talents. So
I think there's a lot of flexibility in M+ talents. Like I think there's actually, I think there's like 2 talents total that I don't think I would take.
What are they?
It is Ashamane's Guidance with Convoke.
Yeah.
And probably Lunar Inspiration.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a situation where I'd play Lunar Inspiration and keys. I don't think there's a situation where I'd play Ashamane's Guidance with Convoke. And apart from that, I think you can basically make an argument for any other talent in the tree, which I think is really cool.
Yeah.
In M+. And we were talking about Incarn earlier. Like the Chinese ferals are
they're playing it.
Apparently, like they're big on Incarn. Yeah. It's apparently the like meta key talent in China. I have been told by some Chinese ferals.
See, I love that though. Like with the current DOTC play, like if you go Incon, you get what, 5 seconds extra on Berserk, and you're not spending that time convoking, so you can just brutal ravage, and then when you run out of brutal slash, you to thrashing, which is a bit limp, but like you get the ravage.
I mean, we had the same position, which was that Incarn is just more AoE than Convoke, but then you get to a boss and you're just really sad.
Yeah. So it could be comp dependent, right?
Like we're fine with this.
Yeah.
So.
If you're running some big single target specs, like 2 big single target specs in your key, then you can afford to go Incon AoE. Yeah.
Yeah.
In theory.
And apparently they are. So.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. But yeah, like I think our class tree is cool. Is really cool in M+. For Midnight. So hero talent rework. Also, we've got Apex talents, don't we? We talked about those.
Yeah, I was just going to say, why don't we chat a little bit about Apex talents? So I will preface this by saying I actually spoke to Jade Martin, and anyone who doesn't know who Jade Martin is, he is the lead class design for Blizzard. So he's actually sort of overseeing a lot of the different classes and class design in general. And I got to chat with him at Gamescom about Apex talents and their design intent. Now, he mentioned about how they have the Apex talent, which is like the big one, and then some supporting talents, which are they don't want to they're going to be complementary to the Apex talent, but more of a general thing for the spec, as far as I'm understanding, because what they don't want.
The same node.
Sorry,
they're in the same node as well.
So
it's like a
choice
talent that you. Yeah.
Right, okay. So, yeah, you might know a bit more than I do about the actual, current Apex talents that we've had a look at, because I think we've seen the Demon Hunter one, I believe. Yeah. But
Demon Hunter and Preservation of Evoker.
Yeah, okay, cool. So, they something that they were saying is, they don't want the Apex talent to sort of lock you into certain talents. So, for example, last tier, we were forced to play Apex. They don't want a situation where the Apex talent forces you into some things and restricts your build, per se. So, I think that's their design intent. Now, with that in mind, Guilty, do you have any, like, any concept stuff that you think, oh man, it would be cool if our Apex talent is X? Because I actually have nothing. I don't know what it could be. I mean, like, just off the cuff, I guess, like, Sickle of the Lion coming back or something like that, something like that, you know, I guess. But what do you think?
I think, like you said, I think I would be surprised if the Apex talents were playing off of existing talents, because I don't, unless they're like early on. Like Tiger's Fury is technically a talent, I guess. And Berserk is technically a talent, I guess. But realistically, you end up with those regardless. So I don't think Feral has a lot of like baseline hooks. Like if you look at what's in Feral's core kit, it's just generators and spenders. I don't know how. Like I'm sure that Blizzard have some really creative people, and they are significantly more creative than me, and they maybe could cook something up with like bite or rip. But I personally struggled to see how you could make like a compelling Apex talent that was like hooked around those. I think for preservation, we've seen it's like hooked around Dream Breath, and for devastation, it's hooked around devastation, annihilation. What's the new spec called?
Oh, Devourer.
Devourer.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to get really confusing with two dev specs.
Yeah.
And that's hooked around their core extend. It's their spender in meta, basically. So their like meta cycle is going to be around generating things and then pressing the button that this hooks into. Which I guess kind of rings true to like bite, but I think we press bite too much to be able to like. It'll be really interesting to see. I think personally, I would love to see like Sickle Line is a cool idea, hooking it around something. I'd love to see something around Feral Frenzy, though I don't.
I was just gonna think that, yeah. I was
thinking that, yeah. I think some of my favorite Feral gameplay was like Legion with Ashamane's Frenzy, and like when it gave you the damage amp, I thought that was really cool.
Remind me of how that works. I played Legion, but I can't.
You pressed Feral Frenzy, so basically it worked the same as Emerald Dream, Amidrasil, where you pressed Feral Frenzy / Ashamane's Frenzy, and it applied a damage amp to the target for the duration of the dot or for X period of time. Like weirdly, going all the way back to like Wrath. Like my hope for Feral, even all the way back to Wrath, was that they would get like a Shadow Dance type ability where it was like a short CD. Every 1 minute, you get like a big burst of damage for a short period of time, like 5 seconds. So when that was like my childhood like design fantasy for Feral back in Wrath, and then in Legion and then Amidrasil, we basically got exactly that with like Feral Frenzy and Ashmane's Frenzy. I thought that was really cool. It played into it in like a Feral way, so that was sick.
Yeah, and so I think Feral Frenzy is a talent where like, you know, being locked into say like Apex, I don't think that feels great on say like single target and whatnot. So you're a bit like, kind of like maybe not. But like Feral Frenzy is something that I think universally, like you can't really be mad at that being something if they did lock you into it. Do you think?
To be clear, I also don't think they should or that they will. But maybe make Feral Frenzy baseline.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I do think that. Yeah, I don't think they'll do it for something like Deep in the Tree, and I don't think they should. But like I said, they could just make it baseline, and then they can.
Yeah.
They have the power to do that. So yeah, they could just do that. Like maybe you make Feral Frenzy baseline, and then when you press Feral Frenzy, your generators don't cost, or your spenders don't cost combo points or something. Like I don't know. There's so much stuff you could do. Like I think. And like ultimately, you can just make something baseline. They can do that.
Yeah.
We can pretend that they can just do that. That's fine.
Yeah.
But I'm really interested to see. I hope that it is not just Berserk does something. That's my one true wish.
Yeah, Berserk in general feels a bit like, I mean, you're spending a lot of talent points to just get it online, and it never really feels too great.
And it dominates our damage profile so much at the moment. It's just so much who damages in Berserk.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But
yeah. Any other thoughts on like Ape? Like you're happy with that on Apex? Like I say, I've not really got like some fantastic
just don't know a lot
new
about
thing.
it at the moment.
Yeah, it's hard to kind of.
And like as I said, I don't think that they are going to do something that deep in the tree. I think doing it with Feral Frenzy would be less bad, but I think the reason that it would be less bad is because our tree it's like one of the few design flaws in our tree is that Blood Talons is so strong that it's a mandatory point. So if you have to take like Feral Frenzy, you're like 1 point away, this is fine. Whereas Apex, you're like, oh, I have to spend 1, 2, 3, 4 points to get it, which just is less good.
Yeah.
But I think that's a slight design flaw in our tree. But
are you in general happy with the spec tree? Because I'm mostly happy, especially when I play some other specs. I think for the most part, our spec tree's like pretty solid. I would like to see them do some big overhaul reworks on some of the specs in the game, or like across a lot of specs in the game. I don't think we should fundamentally change how Feral like operates, but I'd actually be cool with them looking at making some changes with the spec tree. But I'm not inherently upset with it. Like, what do you think?
I kind of have a similar perspective. I think I'm not upset about a spec tree. I think it's outside of the Blood Talons issue, which I literally just talked about. I think it's reasonably balanced. I think it still feels kind of bad spending so many points on Berserk because they don't feel optional. I don't think we have enough points in the tree. I think we could maybe use some more nodes.
Yeah, I agree.
Because it kind of feels like a lot of the time you kind of just get everything. Like realistically, if I think about how I'm talenting in the tree, there's 1, 2, 3 on like single target. So I'm ignoring Primal Wrath and Double Clawed Rake. So those aren't included here. So if I'm speccing in single target right now, there's like 5 talent nodes that I'm not taking only.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of feels like I'm just getting too much.
And it sort of prevents.
Just add more stuff.
Yeah, just add more stuff. They could definitely lean more into more variation, because I do find like when you actually just create your build for Feral, it's pretty cookie cutter on a lot of the things. Like there's not many scenarios where you go, oh, okay, I need to like rework my tree here. Now, Survival Hunter has a similar thing where whether you're in Sentinel or Pack Leader or Single Target or AoE, you're only changing a couple of talents here and there. So there are other specs that are like that, but then you have some specs where they change, like, I mean, I guess Windwalker, maybe I would say, where Windwalker, depending on if you're playing Shadowpan or Celeste or Single Target or AoE, you change quite a bit. There's a good, like, 7 or 8 talents that you might even change. Feral doesn't feel like you change that much.
Yeah, I mean, I guess part of that is somewhat a blessing, because I think the tree is actually pretty balanced, which is good. So maybe it's like a good thing. But like, I don't have a huge problem with it. I do kind of wish, I feel like there's nothing new and shiny in the tree. I feel like everything in the tree is something that I have had before.
And for a long time.
Or, well, not even necessarily for a long time. Like, maybe I only had it in 1 tier. I mean, and now it feels like it's been a long time because I had the same tree for like 2 expansions. But there's nothing where I'm like, wow, I've never seen this before. I wonder what I can do with it. Everything is something that I have, something that I've had before, and I've like kind of got an idea of how it works and like where it fits in. So I'd like to see something new and shiny that makes me go, ooh, you wonder how that works and where I can use it, and like, so that'd be nice. Because yeah, I feel like everything has kind of been recycled over the last, there's actually nothing in the tree that I haven't had before. Double clawed rake, I guess. Yeah, double clawed rake might actually be double clawed rake, thrashing claws, rip and tear, and I guess Saberjaws now. But even then, they're not new and shiny and like gameplay impacting. Thrashing claws is like, oh, you don't have to press slash now.
Yeah.
Rip and tear is like, oh, you pressed rip and you get a secret little dot in the background that you don't know about. Saberjaws is cool. I like Saberjaws.
I like Saberjaws. The thing that confuses me with Saberjaws, though, is a bit of the design, because my understanding is it doesn't interact with Apex, so or then it also or Convoke, and then it doesn't interact with Ravage either, does it?
Does interact with Ravage.
Does interact with Ravage.
Yeah. So that's
sorry, rampant ferocity. Sorry, it doesn't. So it interacts with Ravage.
Ooh, I don't believe it does. No. I might be just wrong about that, but I don't believe it does. No.
Yeah, it's a bit confusing in terms of, but like, you know, you can see how we're both, like, you're a Theorycrafter, we're both a bit, you know, long-term feral mains, and we're going, what is Saberjaws working with, actually? And some clarity on that would be nice, or if it was just, like, consistent across the board, maybe.
Bollocks, it's scripted. I'm like, I'll just go check the whitelist, but no, it's scripted.
Right.
I don't think it works on Rampant Ferocity.
Yeah. But it works with our Ravage, works with our... doesn't work with Convoke, doesn't work with Apex.
So we have been told that it is intentional that it doesn't work on Convoke and Apex, because they feel like it would make pairing the two talents mandatory, and that each would have to be tuned with the other in mind.
That's fair, yeah.
Which I kind of understand to a degree. And I'm certainly willing to accept it because they've given us their reasoning. I'm willing to accept a lot of things if you just tell me why it is the case.
Yep, same.
Because then I can rationalize it in my mind, which is fine. I do think that it kind of misses the point of talents. Like, surely, like, I get the point where maybe it would be a massive burden on tuning, and maybe you'd only ever be able to take them. But I do think that, like, part of the fun of talents is, like, and maybe it's gone too far, to be fair, in some trees, is like finding the little synergistic, and this is actually a problem that healers have and complain about a lot, is that their spells only heal when they have like 6 different things from their talents. So I kind of get their perspective on that and see the like angle where it is a problematic thing. But I do think that to a degree, talents kind of should be synergistic. And you should like feel good about like, ooh, I've picked these 3 talents that work together. I will be very excited about that.
But you should just have different synergies available. So there might be like 4 different synergies, but like there's synergies. Yeah, definitely.
I mean, it is a problem because there's just not enough talents. And if you just have 4 different synergies, what you do is you just pick all 4 synergies and you're like, haha.
Yeah.
Now I have to be tuned around when the moon is half and it is also showing during the day and I am standing underneath the North Star, then my bite does 190,000% more damage.
Yeah, you're a Capricorn or an Aries or what? You know what I mean?
So,
yeah. Well, there you go.
It's like an extra 20% bite damage during like really hot days.
Yeah.
Like
but you're from England, so that never happens. Yeah.
We get at least 2 a year, and I have to get my fan out and complain on Twitter.
Yeah.
At least 2.
Yeah.
Like so I do see the complaints from the other side, and maybe I'm a little bit grateful that they've saved us from the damage scales based on temperature outside, but it does feel weird and it doesn't make sense. At the very least, I wish that they would put it in the tooltip so that people don't get confused. If you are going to have exceptions like that, please put them in the tooltip.
Yeah.
And from what I have heard, they're aiming to be better at that in the future. So I think there is a plan to put something to do with Apex's formula in the tooltip at midnight, which is really cool.
Great.
Tooltips giving us details is sick. And obviously recently they gave us the formula for Bloodseeker Vines, which we're really grateful for. Thank you so much. It has been so helpful. We never would have worked that out. And if we sat there with logs for 1 billion years, we never would have worked it out.
Yeah. So funnily enough, a bit of a side tangent, but I was again at Gamescom. I was chatting with Ian, and now this was informal. This wasn't part of my interview or anything like that, but this was an informal chat with Ian. And oh god, what's his name now? Elemental Theorycrafter.
Blood pellets?
No. What's his name? His name's like Wolverine or something like that.
I may not be.
Hawk.
Hawk. Hawk Corrigan. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's an LE Theorycrafter or Shaman Theorycrafter, and he was saying to Ian, and he was like, "Hey, when are you gonna tell us how some of like spells are coded? Because we're gonna figure it out, but it's just gonna take us a long time." And Ian was like, "Well, we kind of want there to be a little bit of mystery, because if we just tell you the exact way that this thing works, then that's gonna sort of I don't want to misquote here, but it's gonna feel like people." You have exact numbers, and then it's like when you make guides and stuff, it's like, this is how you should play. And they don't really want people feeling like they are forced to do something because we know exact numbers. If they leave it a little bit opaque, then it's sort of like, right, well, our best guess is like in this scenario, if everything goes well, then you would play this, but like based on the variance here, then maybe you play this. And it just keeps things a little bit more open-ended.
I think there's a degree of that, but there's also, like I said, if you gave us infinity time, 1 billion years to collect data and to analyze logs in order to work out how this ship procs, it never would have happened, ever.
Yeah.
Ever. So it just would have been impossible to ever give. Like, it got to the point where we literally just had to stick a giant disclaimer whenever you simmed Wildstalker on raid bots that was like, by the way, we don't know how this is work. This is just inaccurate. It's our best guess, and it kind of almost fits the logs we've got, but we don't know. And I think Blizzard have done it. Maybe this is a weird perspective. I think Blizzard have done a really good job of communicating about class status expansion, which is cool. Ret Paladins maybe don't feel the same, but I'm pretty happy with it.
How are they communicating that? Because is this something that you're seeing on like Blue Posts? Are there devs secretly in the Discords that are feeding through information here and there, or how are you getting access to some of this?
Yeah.
Do you need a lawyer? One can be provided for you.
I don't want to say too much. I know for a fact that, like, for all people complain about Blizzard doesn't read our feedback, yada yada yada. Blizzard doesn't care. Blizzard doesn't pay attention. I know for a fact that they definitely do, and that they are 100% reading the feedback they get about like class problems. It's just something that is happening. So like, communicate feedback. Like,
yeah,
try not to say that Blizzard devs are pedophiles, and because
I've got to edit that one out.
Chance they'll read it. There's a small chance they'll read it. So, yeah, like, it's all good.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, devs definitely know what's going on. I mean, even Ian even knows that the Dreamgrove hates me, so they're clued into stuff. But yeah, you know what's funny about Saberjaws is I've had some people saying like, oh, so are we pooling to 50 energy, or are we pooling to max energy? And this again is just where like I was like, it got to the point where so many people were asking me, I was like, are we pooling to max energy? For like Ravage or whatever? I was like, so this can definitely cause confusion with people, and I definitely know when there is confusion, because I'll get an influx of people come into my stream, and I'll get on a daily like the same question getting asked, and I guess we can kind of get into some of this stuff now anyway, but I'll get people going like, oh, so how many mobs am I raking? Like, how much am I rake spreading? And that's a question that I get asked, like, daily. And I'm like, Has the Dream Grove said something? Like that's what I know. Like has something happened? Like something's happened somewhere because people coming and asking me about this, and it was the same thing with like saber jaws and energy pooling and stuff like that. So these things, there's definitely confusion with some people, and people are trying to find answers, and hopefully that's the aim of a bit of this chat as well. Was there anything else that you wanted to finish on in terms of like wish or like hopes, dreams, whatever for midnight, or shall we jump on to like a little bit of this last segment, which is going to be best practice stuff?
No, I think we've pretty much discussed it. Really looking forward to alpha. I'm always really excited for the like class development part of alpha. That shit cracked to me. Really excited. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to what they've cooked up. And yeah. Give feedback.
Yeah, awesome.
Give feedback when it comes out. Yeah.
We will give feedback. Amazing. Okay, so this segment here is a little bit of a unique one. And I know, Guilty, that before we started this, you were not looking forward to this part of the chat. But you've had your fun, so now you gotta eat your vegetables, okay? You've had your dessert already. So I get a lot of people asking me about different scenarios with feral, rotational stuff, and I don't always have the best answers for them. I have a lot of like Feelycrafting and a lot of sort of, well, this is what I feel that performs well, or this is what I find like I do in those situations. Now, we spoke about this, and you said like generally for these sorts of questions, the right answer is invent a time machine, go back in time 10 seconds, and look at where you messed up. And I do think for the most part that is actually a really good answer, and that's kind of what I tell people as well. Like you've probably messed up a few seconds ago, so instead of trying to fix the problem when you're in it, why don't you work on not making that even a problem in the first place? But some of these scenarios, so let's like, I can just jump onto one. So one of these examples is like when you're in a situation, so this is more so in keys, you're at like max combo points, you've got 1 Blood Talons left available, your Primal Wrath is in its pandemic window. So for anyone who doesn't know what a pandemic is, your Primal Wrath is like 2 or 3 seconds left, right? Like it's almost running out. And then you have a Ravage proc. So in this kind of scenario, like what would you say is like a good best practice way to go about it? I would say
it's press Ravage.
It's press Ravage, even if you risk your Primal Wrath falling off?
Yeah, because, okay, so one thing that I have noticed a lot of feral... I am no longer in focus. One thing I've noticed a lot of ferals aren't willing to do when they should be is you can just cast like a 1-point Primal Wrath. Your Primal Wrath doesn't have to fall off. You can just cast like, you can just thrash Primal Wrath and then build back up to a 5 combo point Primal Wrath, so it doesn't fall off. That's fine. You can just do that. So I would always, you always want to spend the Ravage because you could just proc another Ravage and then you're just really mad that you didn't press Ravage. You don't want to munch a proc. Munching procs feels really bad, especially when they're really impactful like Ravage, and they can just proc randomly. So it would be pressed for Ravage.
Yeah.
One thing I just wanted to touch on briefly is that there's a sick program called Warcraft Recorder, and it's basically Shadowplay but just for WoW. And it will track when you log certain events, so keys, a raid pull. And it will just record it, and you can then go back and watch, and it will give you the like timestamp of everywhere you're in. It will show you where you died, and it's just really sick to be able to, because everyone makes these mistakes. I make these mistakes. I'm like, damn, I got into this really weird situation where I'm like, I munched a Ravage proc and I let Rip fall off, and then I walked off of the Nexus King platform. How did this happen? And I can just go back and like watch the 10-15 seconds and be like, oh, I just must have had a stroke mid-pull and forgot to press any of my buttons. So like I just really recommend, if improving is something that you care about, and not everybody needs to improve, some people just happy vibing along and playing the game, and that's entirely valid. But if improving is something you care about, install a program that reports your gameplay like this. This is so seamless and easy to use. And just when you just do something, when something does click like that and you're like, I wonder what I should have done here, just go back and watch it and see if you can work out where you went wrong, because it helps. Especially failing mechanics. It was so useful in Nexus King when I'm like, how the fuck did I get hit by that spirit? I just went back and went, oh, it was just I'm blind.
Yeah.
And
Simple
I
as
know what
that.
to look for. Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. I do definitely recommend recording gameplay, recording footage, making a conscious note of like when you're in a certain scenario, going like remembering it mid key and going okay, or mid boss and going right. That was a mistake. I want to think about that in a second. I'm going to finish the pull, but I'm going to think about that later and just compartmentalize it. But
there's nothing you can do that is like more impactful for improving the game than like being able to look back at what you did and see.
Absolutely, because looking at other people's gameplay is great, but you might think that you're playing like someone else, and you find out you're not playing like someone else. You're playing like you, and that's where you need to. Yeah, that happens a lot. We all think we're, Michael Jordan when we're playing basketball in our garden, but not necessarily. So in that scenario, then where you're saying about like sending the Ravage. Now, I would generally agree because there's a good chance that you have enough time to regenerate even a couple combo points to get a Primal Wrath off. Like you say, you don't need to do a 5 combo point Primal Wrath or a 5 combo point Rip necessarily if you're on single target, but you definitely need to do a 5 combo point Bite or Ravage unless you get an Apex proc, right? But like, what do you think then about the fact that okay, you're going to send the Ravage to avoid proccing another Ravage and losing that, but what about the damage lost from your Primal Wrath if you're not snapshotting that? Do we just fundamentally care more about sending as many Ravages as possible over, like, Rip and Primal Wrath optimization? Because that's how it feels right now.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. Don't forget, obviously, the 2-piece of Druid of the Claw has a pretty hefty bleed buff attached to it.
Yeah, 30% for 5 seconds.
30%. What is Blood Talons even? Blood Talons is
25.
Blood Talons 30%.
Is it 25?
Yes. Blood Talons is
25.
25. Yeah. So the rip buff from Ravage is larger than the buff from Blood Talons.
But they do stack, yes?
But they do stack, obviously, and you do want to have a snapshotted rip. But like I said, you can just bridge the gap. You can have a 1 combo point Primal Wrath, and then you can Thrash Primal Wrath, and then like Brutal / Rake, and then reapply Primal Wrath with like 4 combo points or 3 combo points. And it will now have Blood Talons, and it will last longer. And you've lost like 2 ticks of Rip with Blood Talons on it.
Yeah.
Rip is a big chunk of your damage, but like, it's 2 ticks.
Yeah. And yeah, you'll live. The way I've phrased it for people though, like I've always sort of erred on the side of send the Primal Wrath because there's a chance that you can get an Apex proc and then you get both. But if your rips fall off in AoE, then you have like now you're doubly screwed because like now you're gonna have no Primal Wrath and you like your rips can proc an Apex, but your bite can't proc a rip. You know what I mean? But I've more so I've started to realize like because of the current state of things with our tier set, like actually just getting Ravage in, just suck it up and just get the Ravage in. And it feels bad sometimes, but you got to just do what you got to do. Another scenario then.
Bridge it with 1 combo points.
Yeah, just 1 combo point all day long. Yeah. So if you're in a scenario then, this is again leading down the snapshotting side of things with Rip. So if you're in a scenario, this one happens a lot, where you're on a boss, single target, in Raid, Mythic Plus, whatever. Rip has a few seconds left, let's say like 4 seconds. Tiger Fury's still on CD for let's say like 6 to 8 seconds, somewhere like that, where your Rip is absolutely going to fall off before your Tiger Fury is available, but only by a smidge. Are you, now I know the answer here, but let's just ask it anyway, are you sending a 5 combo point Rip without Tiger Fury, or are you letting your Rip fall off for a couple seconds and then snapshotting with the Tiger Fury?
I would send the Rip without Tiger's Fury. So in previous tiers, last tier notably, when you were playing Wildstalker, you would want to maintain a Tiger's Fury Rip all the time, and you did this by like doing 3 combo point rips or 3+ combo point rips in the first and last GCD, or as close as possible, of Tiger's Fury. That isn't the case anymore. I don't know if you've looked at your damage breakdown on a boss recently. Rip is like, what, 12-15%? It's not a big number.
Yeah. I could maybe open up a log. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm checking. Because it's like a really not large number. Yeah, like 12%. 12% times, what is it? Tiger's Fury is like 30% or something with the talents involved. Just press the buy. And obviously, don't forget that also Tiger's Fury does have interactions with bite damage as well. So it's not like you're losing that snapshot interaction; you're just shifting it to another spell.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just you would just refresh it without Tiger's Fury.
Yeah, it's just about maintaining that uptime. Yeah, cool. I concur. I would agree. I think just send. But again, cool that you mentioned about playing around with sub 5 combo point rips. And again, both answers, like, you don't always need that 5 combo point rip. It's, if you're a perfectionist, like, you're gonna think, no, I need max combo points, but not necessarily.
In this case, you do want to always cast 5 combo rips.
Yeah, more so this season, but like you're saying, historically, maybe not so much. So, what else have I got here? So, when you're in your cooldown window, it generally occurs where you're getting like a lot of Apex procs, and you're getting just inundated with
single target here?
Kind of both. Like either scenario where you're just getting a lot of Apex procs, you're getting a lot of you're getting like you're at 5 combo points. Are you just sending bite after bite after bite until you run out? Or are you like, nope, I need to diligently proc my Blood Talons? What else have I got? Yeah, so repeat Apex procs, keep sending until 0 combo points, then rebuild Blood Talons and like re-Primal Wrath or re-Rip later? Or how you handle that scenario of infinite procs?
So, if you are getting infinite procs of Apex Predator, just keep pressing bite. The rule is if you already have 2 generators for some reason, so say you've already pressed, and tracking Blood Talons generators is pretty good, so you can make decisions like this. So if you have pressed, you can just track it mentally if you want to, you don't need a weak horror, but just keep track. So if you've already pressed 2, then it is worth pressing the 3rd before you press the Apex. But well, you're in Berserk, so you got a bit of leeway. But yeah, just press bite. So this scenario at the moment wouldn't ever be applicable to Druid of the Claw, and it wouldn't ever be applicable to single target, because Druid of the Claw, as we talked about earlier, you want to be maximizing your Ravages. Losing an Apex proc as Druid of the Claw isn't too bad, because every Ravage is 2 bites. So you would rather have the Ravages. And realistically, you will have like 100% proc rate on AoE. Don't DM me and complain if you don't have 100% proc rate. Sucks to be you. So this one isn't one that comes up a lot this season. You'd have to be playing like Wildstalker, which I guess you do sometimes, but maybe don't play Wildstalker on big AoE pools where you're getting infinite procs. That's probably maybe not a Wildstalker key.
It can also happen Druid of the Claw in Mythic Plus on single target, right? Because you will be running Apex in that situation.
You want to talk about Druid of the Claw single target with Apex? Okay.
Yeah.
So, Druid of the Claw single target with Apex. You cancel it.
What do you mean you cancel it?
You cancel Aura Apex.
You cancel Aura Apex. Why would you do that?
Right. So.
Is it? Wait, hold on. Can I guess? Is it because it messes with Ravage procs or something? Does it affect your Ravage proc?
So on single target with Apex, you'd actually just ignore it. But there are situations in single target with Apex, and I can't remember the exact. Yeah, there are situations. I would suggest going to the Discord and double checking what Crazy Meow has said regarding this, because he did a breakdown of it, of like all the situations. Give me 1 second.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure.
Apex.
I can comment, I guess, what I generally do in key. So, like, if I'm in a key and I'm getting, like, infinite Apex procs, I will... Because it kind of depends as well. Like, if you're running Araz Trinket, that has the decaying agility, so it can depend as well what stage of your rotation you're in and whether you. So this is maybe just a warning to people. I don't think other. Well, some people do actually. I've seen unlock. Some people do. Some people macro their Araz trinket in with their Berserk, which means from the moment you're pressing Berserk, you're now decaying agility from the trinket. But if you delay your Convoke, then you're going to have a weaker Convoke because you're going to have less agility. So you can either decouple your Araz from your Berserk and link it to your Convoke, and then that way you can send Apex procs, and then you can Convoke a little bit delayed. Or you can just like Berserk, Convoke, send immediately, and you can Araz on Berserk. But yeah, it's one of those where like you got to be careful about delaying Convoke like too much, because then your Tiger Fury is going to run out if you're not careful. If you're getting that crazy with Apex procs. But yeah, what would you kind of comment on that?
So like I'm never going to play this way because it's incredibly degenerate and it's stupid. And it's been reported as like a bug / non-interaction. But yeah, so there are situations whereby you will cancel, and it's particularly playing Saberjaws, I believe, because Saberjaws doesn't apply to Apex. So in Berserk, you do not want to ever cast a Ravage if possible. With Apex, you would prefer to cast it with Saberjaws because it's much stronger. So there are situations at the moment where you are cancel-auroring Apex because the GCD to cast the Apex is worse than just casting a Bite and fishing for more Ravages. Yeah, this is incredibly silly, incredibly degenerate. And I think I would have to, again, I'd have to read into it more as what exactly he's done. But I believe he had cancelling Apex randomly as a without Saberjaws as like DPS neutral on 3 targets.
Okay, yeah, so what I would take from that if I'm the average watcher of this is like,
don't do this.
Forget everything Guilty just said for the last 5 minutes. Because to be honest, there's going to be
silly.
like this is the part where I get in from the Feelycraft versus like Theorycraft side of things, where there is a absolute best way to do something, and sometimes it can be a little bit finicky or a little bit degenerate and take away brain power from a lot of the basics. And I feel like a lot of people
your mental stack.
Exactly. You'll have so many things that you're tracking with everything else going on, particularly if you're in keys or like a progress boss in Raid, where there's so many things to track and perfect that like just handle your basics, handle your foundations. And this super sweaty min-max stuff, like, by all means, add this on at a later date or when you feel like you can do that foundational stuff for Feral, and it's, you know, like, sort of second nature, then start layering on more of the complexity. But that's really interesting. I didn't know that. Sounds cursed.
A lot of the times, I like to talk about this, because even if it's something that I'm not necessarily going to do,
somebody out there will love it. Yeah,
degenerate and silly. So I like to talk about it because it is worthwhile to get people talking about it, to sort of bring attention to it such that it can be addressed as a design flaw. Even if it's not something we're doing now, there is a chance that in the future, something else, something small changes, because this does happen in WoW. Some other talent changes slightly, and all of a sudden it becomes like something that you actually care about. So it's worth bringing it up and talking about how silly it is and like how counterintuitive it is. Just on the off chance that at some point in the future, it becomes like actually relevant, and we were like, you know, we talked about it way back here, and like we tried to get it fixed then. So it's just worth bringing up for that reason.
Yeah, you don't want this sort of like.
You shouldn't actually play this way. It will consume your mental stack, your mental CPU. But yeah, there are weird situations with canceling Apex, and it's worth talking about it just to try and get the attention such that somebody will go, yeah, that doesn't seem like sane game design. Let's tweak something so this is no longer a problem.
Yeah, no, that's. I'm glad you did. I think that's a really important point as well. Very pertinent. Is like you don't want like. Again, a lot of what happens in WoW is Blizzard will make changes and then they don't necessarily update a new change because of how something used to work back in the day or whatever. Like they'll delete a talent because of a certain situation or affect a talent, and then like we lose the tier set which affected that thing, but then they don't retroactively go back and change that talent back now that we no longer have that tier set or whatever, you know? And then you're just like
imagine if they changed
we've lost
Saberjaws like tomorrow to affect ramp up ferocity. and all of a sudden you are playing Saberjaw's Apex, and you're like, well, I guess I'm in Berserk. I'm just spam canceling Aura Apex.
Yeah, you're gonna have to like macro that into your Brutal Slash so that you're like guaranteeing your
you can't even macro
maximizing
into
it.
your Brutal Slash. You'd have to have a button alone that gets forward.
It's the same with
Apex, 'cause
Mongoose
you
Bite.
want to cancel it outside it, yeah.
It's like Mongoose Bite for Survival Hunter, where if you were like you'd be using Mongoose Bite, but then you'd cancel Aura if your stacks, like if you were gonna have a Mongoose go, you wouldn't want like lingering stacks. Same thing with Star-Lord. If you're a balanced druid, you have the Aura like cancel Aura so that you don't like get low value on your Star-Lord, etc. People will know what that means. Cool. So next one, and we've only got a couple left, but next one is, so we already spoke about this, but I just want confirmation in this part of the video. So in your cooldown window, we're basically now with DOTC, we're basically in AoE specifically, we're basically Brutal Slash Ravage, because as we mentioned earlier in the video, Claw Rampage is for some reason Thrash and Brutal Slash are getting a 25% chance per target hit to give you the Ravage proc. So that's why in AoE you're just like Ravage, Bite, Ravage, Bite. And on single target, it doesn't really change too much.
On single target without Coiled to Spring, it doesn't really change much. If for some reason you are playing Coiled to Spring, then what you will do is you will press Shred, Thrash, or Brutal Slash, which are the 3 spells, until you either get one of a Ravage proc or a Coil to Spring proc, and then you will press Bite. Again, this is specifically for in Berserk or Combo or in Incarn, I guess.
Yeah.
But one of those two.
And you are cool, and you're sort of just overcapping. Yeah, that's how that's like beginning of the season, I wasn't playing so much this way because I didn't realize the value of Claw Rampage in AoE. I didn't realize that you had that guarantee because, again, you mentioned about wording and it not being sort of like crystal clear. You wouldn't think it would be per target because that sounds really strong. So I have since changed a lot and switched up my rotation in AoE. So that's good to know there. Cool. Just wanted to reconfirm that. Amazing. I think we've covered everything. Okay, so this is last one actually, is the conversation of rake spreading. So again, this is less so in, I don't think it's really too relevant in Raid, really. A lot more relevant in Mythic Plus. But I get a lot of people asking me about how many targets should I rake? And I always give the answer of, well, it's more so a point in your rotation at which you don't have anything else that you need to do, so that's when you're slotting in Rake. Like, you're not going to spam Rake spread if you don't have Blood Talons, or if you have an Apex proc sitting there, or if you're at 5 combo points. But outside of that, like, there are times when you can start Rake spreading because you've eaten your vegetables, you've done all the other bits. Now you can start raking because you've got some Blood Talons available.
Is eating your vegetables in this metaphor?
No, you've eaten your your vegetables are like keeping your rip up, proccing your Blood Talons, having your Thrash active, using your Apex procs, not being at 5 combo points. You've done all the heavy lifting. Now you're kind of cruising
that's
and.
The same.
That's the. Would you say that's the dessert? Maybe. Okay. Well, you can choose the vegetables.
That's the steak. That's the good part of the meal.
Yeah.
Eating your vegetables is like, well, I guess I'm at the last of my priority.
Rake
and that's
spread.
basically the best way to think about it is that there isn't a target count where you start rake spreading. It is just a generator. So if everything has Thrash and you have used all your Brutal Slash procs, spread rake. It's just the last priority generator on your list.
Cool.
So when you get down to that last priority, start doing it, whether it's 2 targets or 3 targets or 45.
I guess, because that's the thing as well, because people are like, oh, well, like, on how many targets do I stop? And it's like, you don't really stop or start, it's more so just, this is when you get chance to do it. So, cool, we're synced up there. I would say, though, with Wild Stalker, if you were going to play that in keys, then maybe it changes a little bit, because, well, it doesn't change, but you're definitely, like, you definitely want to try and prioritize raking, like squeezing that, like when you have those opportunities, take charge of that situation and make sure that you are rake spreading a lot because it's going to get you more vines. But again, you're still doing all the other stuff. You're not like raking instead of generating blood talons or anything like that.
Exactly.
Something that I guess I would recommend for people is like, this is a thing just from a mental standpoint that like I like to do, is I like to do something that I call, I mean, this is silly, but I call it like the rake pyramid, because some people say, oh, like, are you tab raking, or how do I do it? So I will like, because of my nameplates, obviously they're all stacked on top of each other, I will just mentally work up from, so I'll go just like a ladder, I guess, just going up each mob one at a time and just checking like, does it have rake, does it not? If it doesn't have rake, I use rake, and then I look at the next mob and then the next one, and you just sort of work up and down, and then you know that you're like not overriding things, and it's just like easy to track. The thing with rake spreading as well mentally is that your Primal Wrath is a universal bleed, so everything's going to have the same timer, or generally should, unless things get chained in late or whatever. And same with your Thrash, it's going to be universal application, but your rake is going to only hit 2 targets, so every target's going to be at a different point of the rake duration. So you can do what I've just said, use your own technique, or what a lot of people would probably recommend, and I imagine Guilty would recommend, is get a weak aura, which changes your nameplate color if a mob has rake or not. That's also
wouldn't
helps.
recommend it nowadays.
Oh, really?
It's just like I said, you can do it, and people do it. Personally, I think it's just like my philosophy around tracking things is I like to track things that have a significant impact on my decision making. And like ultimately, if I get down to the rake spreading point, I'm just gonna like mouse over rake and wiggle my mouse around and hope. But
yeah,
you can track it, but I think most of the time it's just gonna be noise for you. And I don't like visual noise.
It depends how much free mental like load you have as well. Like we say, you've been mentioning it, and it's all about how much do you have left in the tank. Can you track all of those things and the other things you need to be doing, and also track the key or the boss, and not like, you don't want to stand in a frontal because you were like checking how many mobs had rake, right? You want to make sure that you're focusing on the foundations rather than that last kind of optimization. Is there anything else, Guilty, that you wanted to cover from like a best practice or rotational standpoint? Any sort of scenarios, anything at all that you want to impart to people of, hey, if you're in this situation, this is maybe some cool tech or something to think about, or like a common mistake that you see in the Discord, maybe people bring up a lot, anything like that? Or are you happy?
Anything you want to talk about? There's a cool weak aura by Crazy Meow that helps you play Adaptive Swarm on single target. I know people don't like Adaptive Swarm very much. That's quite a cool one. I think I've tweeted about it in the past. It'll just give you a nice little border based on whether or not you should cast Adaptive Swarm. Common mistakes people make, overthinking it. I know some people sort of get scared by Feral. It's so complicated, but I promise you it's not that complicated. Blood Talons, people get scared of Blood Talons. You can play Blood Talons, not track anything, and it will still be better than Lion Strength.
Yeah.
The one button rotation, which kind of presses generators randomly, has high enough Blood Talons uptime that it's better than Lion Strength. You can play Lion Strength, but I just wouldn't recommend it because AFKing Blood Talons is still better.
Yeah, I would. I'll jump on that while you're thinking of anything else. So I agree. Blood Talons is like always going to be better, and I find even when because I'll try stuff out because I like to try stuff for people and say, hey guys, you can do this and this is fine, and like you don't need to stress about min-maxing all the time. You know, if you don't enjoy that, and I'll play Lion Strength and Keys, and it doesn't really change your rotation. You're still having to maintain your Thrash and use a Brutal Slash, and then you got a Rake that you got to send. So it generally, you would be proccing Blood Talons anyway, but if you find just mentally it's like one less thing that you have to think about, by all means, like Guilty says, we're in agreement. You're going to do less damage, but maybe that's okay for you because maybe you just rather focus on other things. So by all means.
Yeah. It's... just enjoy the stack. Like,
yeah.
Ultimately, just play along, experiment. There's so many people you can ask questions about. I know, like, Psy obviously doesn't get along well with the Discord, which I think is a bit of a shame because I'd love for everybody to.
Should we have a 2-minute segment on that? Should we clear the air?
Obviously, I have no problem with you. There are a small number of people who I don't even really think that they have like a problem with you personally. I think they disagree with some of your opinions.
Yeah.
I think ultimately that's fine. I think realistically, I think if you just came in and talked, it would be fine. But like, you also don't have to do that if you feel like you don't want to interact with them. And some people don't like you, you don't have to. I think it's a shame that you don't, because I think ultimately I would like I always want more people to talk who are passionate about the spec. But you're also not required to do so.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, I'm very mature about the situation. I know sometimes I'll tweet, but it's like, I genuinely, when I'm tweeting about stuff, like, it is genuinely memes. Like, when, you know, I tweet out, like, that I, like, got some good logs or whatever, and I was like, oh, I hope I'm qualified to talk about the spec now. It's because people have smack talked me, so I'll just, like, you know, I'll just, like, give them a little something, you know?
One of the people shit talking you.
Sorry?
To be clear, I'm one of the people shit talking.
Oh yeah, like yeah. When I first started making stuff, I remember. But we have a rapport now, so it's like you shit talk me, but I don't take it personally from you because I know you. But like, there's that, you know. I think for me, I would come into the Discord more and chat because I like the reason I'm doing this today as well is because I want to help educate people the best way possible. And I think the best way to do that is Creator and Theorycrafter together, like making sure that everything is sweet and tidy for the players out there and for people to get the best information. But I think a big reason why I don't come into the Discord is because people sort of, I don't want to say like witch hunt me, but definitely like I can just go look at messages and people are just like dogging on me unnecessarily, or they're taking something out of context, or you know, I'm streaming for like 10 hours and somebody asks me a question, I give like a shit answer or something. It's like, dude, maybe I've just been like, maybe I just answered that question a bunch, maybe I just like got lazy, or maybe I'm tired, or like whatever. Like people make mistakes, people slip up, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm misinformed, maybe, like whatever. But it's like it's just like, well, I'll come and engage, but I don't want to engage with people where I don't know who's in the shadow, like who likes me, who doesn't. I don't want to give someone the time of day if they are like shit talking me and then I'm like being nice to them, and then like that just like, I just want to know where I'm at. I want to know that I can come in and chat, because I'd love to do that, but I'm not going to give my time of day to people who don't like me and don't want to interact with me. So I think it more so needs to come from...
You're right.
Yeah, I think it needs to come more from those people maybe being a little bit more, like, just relax it a bit and just maybe come and chat. Like, I've always said, if somebody wants to come and chat to me, I'll chat with them and like, let's clear the air. Like, I don't hate you. I hope that you probably don't hate me, and like we can get along. So that's where I'm coming from. But I think also it's the last thing on that is, I think it's just important to understand that like, if you're sitting in a Discord all day looking at all of the data that's in there, you're going to be very well informed. So a lot of the content that I'm making isn't aimed at you. So you're going to look at stuff that I'm doing and go, oh, well, that's, you know, that's that, and that's that, and that's, but it's like, well, yeah, maybe I'm playing this build because like Billy just wants something simple and sweet and easy, and like, maybe I'm just doing that for them, or maybe I'm just trying something, or maybe I'm just having fun, or like, maybe I am just Feelycrafting, like maybe I am just bullshitting some stuff, but I think it's like a video game, and it's kind of, it's low stakes, you know, it's not like I'm telling people where, like, they should remortgage their house and invest in like Bored Apes or some shit like that, you know what I mean? So it's like, for me, it's low stakes. So the sort of vendetta against me is just like, I find it weird. But I mean, a better rapport would be nice. I just think it needs to come from like people maybe making the effort to like if they make the effort with me, I'll make the effort with them. But yeah, I think that's it.
I mean, like I said, I don't think you're required to. I think it's a shame. I think to a degree, there's a bit of miscommunication, because I think you see the occasional message.
Yeah, people come into my chat and be like, "Oh, this person said this about you," and I'm like, "Okay, sure."
Yeah, and I don't think they actually have a real problem with you personally.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like the occasional bit of shit talk. Like, I drop some shit talk on people occasionally.
Well, Well, you're toxic.
And I would hope, yeah, like I'm a piece of shit. It's fine. And I do some shit talking people occasionally, and out of context or like that individual message, it might look like I hated that person. There's not a lot of people I hate in WoW. I'm fairly chill.
Yeah.
Like, and obviously, I'm here. I have no problem with you personally. Sometimes you say some shit that's wrong or that I disagree with, and generally I tell you to your face that I disagree with you or that I think that's wrong, and that's fine. But yeah, it just is what it is. It's a bit of a shame, but I don't think either party is willing to, like I said, ultimately you should just join in and just talk and not let somebody push you out. But if that's not something you want to do, that's not something you have to do.
No, I'll think on that. I'll think on that. I appreciate that.
I don't think there's any realistically bringing the people who dislike you to some round table to discuss why they don't dislike you.
No. That's not what I want. It's more so like on an individual level, like
I don't think that's why I'm being like hyperbolic.
But yeah.
But yeah, like I think if you just talked in there, just like if somebody shit talks you, just ignore it.
Yeah. or bring up their logs. I'll just bring up their logs and I'll show them that I'm higher than them, and then.
So what I would say is, don't make a YouTube video about someone's logs, because I've had that happen to me.
No, I would never do that. No, never.
Twice. It's happened twice.
What about your logs?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me just. Hold on. Sorry, Guilty. I can't listen to you. I think you're rank 54 in Apex Procs, so I can't listen to you.
No. I'm ranked dead last in Apex Procs.
Yeah.
Yeah, like.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, ranked last in Apex Procs, rank 54. Yeah, there we go.
Rank 54 total. Dead last. I'll take that.
Yeah.
That was a good result.
Yeah.
Solid. I understand that you have your problems with the Discord, and that is fine. That is justifiable. I hope that, I would personally recommend the Discord as a source of information. I think Sight has problems with them. That's unfortunate. It's largely from the Discord side.
You know what's funny? I will still recommend the Discord. Like if people want information, and if I don't know something, I still always categorically I recommend the Discord. And I never have a problem with Theorycrafters. I don't have a single problem with any Theorycrafter, because you guys are putting in a lot of heavy lifting, a lot of work, a lot of stuff that I use is because of you guys. So I have utmost respect for Theorycrafters. For me, I only have issue just when random people are just saying stuff for the sake of it. But no, I'll always recommend the Discord. Always recommend Theorycrafters.
As to say, generally they are pretty friendly. If you do have a problem or you're struggling performance, stick a log in there. Somebody will help you out. Warcraft Analyzer is pretty good. Stref keeps it. It says it's not up to date at the moment, but I promise you it is.
Oh, okay, that's good to know.
Yeah, there are tools to improve. Like I said, record your gameplay, ask somebody, ask Psy if he knows the answer to the question, he'll answer it. If
After
he's not
today,
sure,
I will.
In my experience, he is actually reasonably good at saying, I'm not really sure about this.
Yeah.
There's tools. And if you're passionate about the spec and you want to get better, join the Discord, have a chat, and see where it goes.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think that's a great send-off. I think that's a great finisher to the conversation. This was an absolute... this was a blast, Guilty. I've actually really enjoyed this. I think we should definitely try and do another one soon. Maybe a few weeks into Alpha or something, we've got some stuff. Maybe we could do a sort of bit of a feedbacky kind of video or something and a chat just for people. Yeah, definitely. Awesome. All right, Guilty.
I fucking nailed the fact that we were going to go over the 5 minutes, man.
Well, the thing is, I knew you wanted to talk more about some of the other stuff, so I was like, all right, let's chat about that.
It just always does. I like the sound of my own voice. Is what it is.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. Good luck for the YouTube video.
Yeah. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Everyone who made it through this enjoys that. Bye.
Thanks, dude. Bye-bye.